Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Dreamers Game 1, where we are playing Yomi. This is turn 78. So, let's jump into things real quick. We've got Alteration right off the bat. Alteration level 8 achieved. Cool. That's, on its own, Alteration 8 isn't actually that big of a deal for us, I think. Double check real quick. What do we get here? Well, no, we do get some decent things, like Warriors of Muspelheim or Niflheim are good for buffing against, Watered Fire. Ground Army is pretty nice for us. We can cast all three of these with the not easily, not constantly, but with the right people in our armies, so that's decent. Will of the Fates is great, but a little more difficult for us to actually get up because of its high cost. We can do it through some communions and through, some of our sorceresses if they have booster gear. So that is an option, which we do have access to now, so that's good. And then things like Disintegrate are pretty nice on all of our Onishugo. So actually, level 8 gets us fair fucking amount, so that's pretty cool. Good to know. Anyways, moving on from that, we have a number of I'm calling them remotes this turn, because there's more than just manifestation going on here. So we will go down the list and we'll talk about what all is happening. We have a manifestation against Ermor. So we sent an Ashen Angel, and we found a White Mage. Okay, so this is a big deal. This is one of his Augur Elders that has already died, and let's see if we can seal the deal. 1 tap. Very nice. Next up, we have another manifestation. Let's see what we catch this time. Another Augur Elder. This one is Twiceborn, so if we get him, he will go through the process. Okay, so now he's a White Mage. Gotcha. We then had Procus the Scout get mentally attacked by an enemy mage, but Procus was able to resist the attack. Okay, cool. Then we got an Ashen Angel sent at us. So let's see how this goes. In Silver Halls. So this Ashen Angel goes up against Masei, who is ungeared, which is dangerous for us. So let's see how this works out. Ashen Angel lands, and wow. That's a stark contrast. Oh my goodness. That Ashen Angel did not succeed. A little bit of luck there, I do think. I will say this, right? So, the Ashen Angel is not a great matchup for a Dione, or not a great matchup against a Dione necessarily, right? So, the Bane Blade does do high damage and at a high attack, right? But all of the other defenses of an Ashen Angel are kind of like they're out the window, right? Invulnerability 25 doesn't matter because a Dione inherently has magic weapons. Ethereal, same reasoning, right? And while the Ashen Angel is very strong against most opponents, 35 HP, 19 defense, that's pretty good. Against a Dione, right? We're sitting here, 50 HP. Attack skill 17, defense 16. So what we have here is that a Dione ungeared with 19 protection can take, generally speaking, unless they're really high rolls, right, can take 2 or 3 hits from that Bane Blade of an Ashen Angel before they're actually in threat, right? And the Ashen Angel has a good chance of hitting, right? Chance of missing, but a good chance of hitting. The Dione also has a good chance of hitting, chance of missing, but good chance of hitting. And that's the difference there is probably 2 to 3 hits before the Dione is potentially going to die. one hit before the Ashen Angel is going to die, right? Because the Ashen Angel has no innate protection. It's only invulnerability 25, which invulnerability is only against non-magical weapons. So that's 0 protection for the Ashen Angel. The Dione goes pop, 35, 37 HP, right? Done, gone. And to kind of top things off to make it worse, right? Like the Ashen Angel is sometimes useful even in situations where it's not going to instantly kill their target because of the decay of the Baneblade. But a Dione doesn't really give a shit. They've got 90 years before they reach old age, and that's not actually. I don't even. Is that typical, or is that an old Dione? Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of actually an old Dione. So a fresh Dione out of the gate. I wonder what's happened to Masei. I guess, we've had enough turns go by that it's, well, no, Masei definitely has had to have, had something happen, right? 910 versus 850. So Masei is 60 years old in this game. We've had, 5 years past, so it looks like Masei has maybe already had some decay effects or something like that. So that just goes to reinforce that point that it's not a good mashup for the Ashen Angel, because the Ashen Angel is unlikely to kill the Dione completely ungeared, right? Completely ungeared Dione, much less an actually geared Dione. Unlikely to kill the Dione and likely to get just popped by it immediately. And even if they do get a hit, decay is unlikely to actually matter, right? And in point of fact, I would say, Dione actually have good enough stats to where if they hit old age, they're still not useless, right? It wouldn't be that big of a deal. And to kind of, make matters worse, as this Ashen Angel lands, it actually strikes a Long Dead instead, right? Look at that time tick away, though. Anyways, so that was fun. We survived that. And then Procus the Scout got mind hunted again. And again managed to resist the attack. And then we have our third manifestation. So our third manifestation finds an augur, which is fine. That's a fine catch. Not what we would prefer, but a fine catch. Oof. That actually got a little close for this Ashen Angel. That was the first Ashen Angel that we sent out that was almost close to failure. So that's pretty cool for us. All right, so that was 6 remote attacks, and we had 6 wins and 0 losses from all of them. I'm going to list these all as versus Urmor. I'm going to talk about why. But I don't know that they actually are all versus Urmor, right? I do believe the Ashen Angel, right? That makes sense coming from Urmor. But I'm not sure about these Mind Hunts, and here's why, right? Procus is all the way over here. Someone mind hunted twice into the golem range, right? So actually, you know what I'll do? I'll put 4 wins versus Urmor, and I'll put versus question mark 2 wins, right? Because I'm pretty positive that the Ashen Angel was Urmor, but I am not sure about golem range. What I think may have happened is I think Helheim or Ubar, probably Helheim, right, might have been trying to hit Hills or hit something in Florian, depending on which one it was, and they might have misclicked on golem range, because it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure that they really could. Let's see. Yeah, Mind Hunt has a 6 province range, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 technically, right? These could have come from Urmor. Couldn't have reached from the other side. So technically Ermor could have sniped at golem range, but it's just like, why would he want to? Why would he care? Right? Like, it's such a strange thing. So it makes more sense in my mind. I mean, it might have been, but it makes more sense in my mind that someone else misclicked, potentially. Though 2 misclicks is really strange. You know what, though? Like, at the end of the day, Procus surviving 2 mind hunts at 11 MR is kind of crazy. So props to him. Anyways, moving on. We got other shit to deal with. We did a lot of site searching as we do every turn. Nothing with Haruspecs. Nothing with arcane probing, nothing with dark knowledge, nothing with auspecs, nothing with this gnome lore, nothing with this arcane probing, and nothing with this augury. So pretty big goose egg from the site searching. We did get 21 blood slaves from our blood hunting, so go ahead and put that up with the gem income. And then everything else that's here is just the copious amounts of summonings that we had last turn. Bunch of corpse construction, Sea King's Court, Troll King's Court, Fairy Court, etc., etc. So good stuff. Very, very happy to be dumping some gems. We got a couple of battles and then a couple of just unexpected events. So let's see. Battle in Belfields. So we attacked in here with our 2 Liches, Manhate, and Fear Tongue, and we did actually catch... Ermor keeps doing this. I don't know if this is a thing that he controls, or maybe he just doesn't have the ability, because these are madmen, right? Like, maybe he is sending them out and then is unable to move them after the fact because they're crazy. But I don't think the wave of madmen is going to win against the wave of... Skelebums. That is a hard no. Alright, so we win there. We take control of Color Megger. Didn't meet anything. We were trying to see if we could bump with the Ether Knights, and I'm assuming we're gonna find the... Yep, so we find the Ether Knights here. Got a little interesting thing. This guy, the freaking sandal blink boots... Right, like this guy I think is so trippy. He's very interesting. But we've just got a little token PD here so that we can see movements. That's the only reason. I think a gold well spent, honestly. And then we have a battle in Silver Wall, and this is gonna be the big thing. We'll see if this actually works. So we have our plan of. We have Benjiro here and Ainu here. And the plan is for Benjiro to try to fluff Ainu just a little bit before before fleeing, and then Ainu will leave. Or Benjiro will leave, right? We've got the crowd here. It has changed a little bit. I think we've got more forest trolls. They might be new-ish. There's definitely this troll shaman. I don't remember if he was here last time or not. There are 2 water elementals here, and that is sketchy, because if a water elemental gets in specifically to the side or behind Ainu, then that's going to be really bad, because a lot of armor-piercing crush damage. If the water elemental comes in from the front, typically a Dione can go pop, pop, and drop the water elemental to an unthreatening state relatively quickly. But if it's from the side or the back, then that's a big deal. We do have Hizashi over here, who has not been Gift of Reasoned or anything like that, so he is still just a unit. As we had prior, a whole bunch of augurs, a whole bunch of augur elders. This is most likely going to be a mage fight. The only thing here that can really contest with Ainu is these trolls, right? But their attack skill is very low, and they do not... They hit really hard, right? But we're going to have high protection, resistance, regeneration, the chance for a shield block, right? Awe. There's a lot going on here to help defend us from the forest trolls. The water elementals, right, as we've said, if they get in and they get into a good spot, that could be a lot of damage really quickly. And then actually, right, this Dione, which is a potential threat, is sitting on top of what I think might be the only other potential threat that I've seen kind of like around and about, and that is Volcanus, this prophet, right, who has a Flesh Eater and a Twin Spear. Now, he could do a lot of damage to Ainu if he gets in. It depends on what he has going on. But I don't think he can stand there for very long. This guy has a Walkan's Scepter. It's a fireball. Never mind. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Let's see how this goes. I think this is going to be a mage battle again, and that's kind of like what we plan for, right? Is we're not going to kill all these things, obviously. We're just going to stall them out. The plan is for Ainu to do a lot of buffs, keep the Flesh Eater from, or have the Flesh Eater to keep himself from routing. He should have 36 magic resistance. And we have a little bit of a gamble here that we probably shouldn't have made. Benjiro is going to Bless. And then after Bless, he's going to cast Iron Warriors. And then he's going to retreat. The way that I set it up, Ainu has more HP. In theory, Benjiro might target Ainu with Iron Warriors because his square has more HP. In point of fact, he's probably just going to target himself because the AI will tend to favor that type of situation, especially when the HP is so close. But I probably should have just done 2 Iron Warriors. So we got a Blessing. We got an Iron Will. Ainu is up to 36 magic resistance. We've got a Natural Rain. We auto have Wailing Winds up because of the Golem. And we've already got stuff coming out, right? Like, Iron Warriors hits, but it hits Benjiro, not Ainu. So Temper Flesh goes up. Our Wolf is retreating. Benjiro is gone. We have Summon Earth Power. And now we have a False Horror here. Now we have a bunch of insects from Swarm casts. And what we have basically ended up with is we have ended up Blessed. We've ended up with Iron Will, Temper Flesh, and Summon Earth Power. So our Reinvigoration is higher, and as is our Protection because of the additional Earth Magic. But we do not have Iron Skin, so our base resistance is not as high as it should be. Thus, we do not have the 31, 32 protection that we should, which is a little sketch. We are being poisoned. You can see our poison well is decently high, in the 30s at this point, it looks like. But we can just regenerate that basically whenever we need to. No big deal. Which is kind of interesting, right? That we have 5 poison resistance. It's kind of interesting that these guys are actually getting poisoned through. I'm not sure. It must be the scorpions. Yeah, they actually have a weak poison. Enough ticks higher of that, maybe. Anyways. We are mostly stuck in. We want to keep an eye out for anything big, like these trolls coming in. Interesting, he's got ethereal trolls. That's fun. And we want to see, look out for Hizashi. Look out for that prophet. Look out for the water elementals. Where are the water elementals, actually? This behemoth could actually be a problem, too, if he got in and started trampling. The water elementals are stuck way back, so no issue there, looks like. Do we actually have... Trying to see if I see... The golem coming in and punching stuff could be a deal. Well, not punching stuff, but like being close enough to here's the thing, right? Like, absolutely, this type of situation, you should have some people on advanced and cast spells, like at least a handful of people on advanced and cast spells, because if he got close enough to cast like Drain Life at me, I'd be fucking dead, right? Like, no questions asked. But as it is, it looks like we are too high MR to, I mean, it's one thing to exploding die up to like a 25, 26 and snatch something, but a 36? No. That's like a 1 in a... Oof. That's a very, 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 very low chance. I think it's possible. I think. I actually am not 100% on the math behind this type of thing, so there might even be a cap on how you can explode die in a check like a Soul Slay check or an Enslaved Mind check. So. Is this gonna work? This shouldn't work. Y'all, this shouldn't work. This... Always have someone, somewhere... Oh, we actually got, wow. We got Soul Vortex off. Interesting. Always have someone somewhere on advanced and cast spells. And here's the thing. We already sent in a thug like this, right? And we got it enslaved mind. Like, we lost it with enslaved mind, right? So, in theory, the Urmor player should have expected, okay, well, we took that with enslaved mind. What happens if he sends in something with higher MR? You know? So, that's it. We've reached turn time. Urmor is routed. There go all of the mages, slowly but surely. There is this Talistic Animate, or Animate here, that can't run. So, we are also, I mean, we should also be fleeing, right? We are routed as well, but because of the Flesh Eater, right, we are instead Berserk and still swinging. But we've got to clear the field before the actual turn timer where everything just insta-dies. So, we are somewhat in a particular situation, and if we unberserk, we'll just fly right out of here, and that'll be a problem. I say fly right out. We won't fly right out. We have Boots of the Messenger. Oof. Oh my goodness. That fucking worked. 120 kills off of Ainu. And Urmor loses so much. So much here. Holy shit. 32 augurs. 7 augur elders. His prophets, a fairy queen, some flamens, the horror harmonica golem, right? Which if I had max, not max, if I had 8 construction, I might try to like snag the horror harmonica or something. An Ivy King, right? These are expensive to get. Troll Shaman, White Mage, all of these Ascensus, those are kind of whatever, right? Like, a lot of these troops, this is just chaff stuff, right? Like, but it's still a lot of money. 21 equites, right? Like, that's a chunk of change. This is a lot to have lost. Again, most of the chaff is kind of whatever, but so many mages, so much in the way of... this is actually interesting. Let's take a look at this. I think a lot in the way of not just the obvious amount of gems that he lost in what he has summoned here, But actually, he doesn't have any gems on this Fairy Queen. No gems on this Augur Elder. Shroud. No gems, no gems. I guess that's maybe a big question for me. A Rune Smasher. This is actually kind of light. Slam of Pearls. So I guess this is a question, right? Like, Communion Mastered up. All they were doing was buffs and Enslave Mind. Like, the only battlefield spell that looks like it went out was Natural Rain. There's no protection buffs here. There's no anti-magic. There's no resistance buffs. There's no fog warriors. There's nothing here. Right? Like, there's nothing being I feel almost like Ermor was just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, hold up. Never mind. Those are slaves, so they're just getting whatever all the communion's getting. So it just feels so weird to me. Like, we know Ermor has high research, right? We know Ermor has at least like Construction 9 and like Conjuration 8 and Enchantment 8, I believe. Enslaved Mind is pretty high as well, and Thaumaturgy, I believe. Like, Ermor absolutely has high research, but he's not really doing anything with a lot of it, right? Like, I think in this particular case, in fairness, there isn't like a lot of battlefield-wide buffs wouldn't have done anything against this particular trick. But my question is it feels like it almost feels like Ermor just was like, whatever, gave up on this army because they didn't have any real items or combinations or like gems or things like that. Like, if Ermor, for example, I don't even know if he has the ability to do so here, but like, if he made a bunch of air elementals, right, from some communion masters, that might have mattered, right? Like, being able to get in and trample me, right, would have potentially mattered. Getting more water elementals, I don't know if he had the ability here, but that might have actually mattered. It just seems like a lot going on in this place, or a lot here, but not covering a lot of bases, right? Like, if I'd come in with a battlefield wipe, right? Nothing going on here. If I'd come in with, like, Rigor Mortis, right? There was no relief cast in anticipation of that. If I'd come in as I did, right? Like, there were no advance and cast spellcasters. There were no, like, anti super combatant thugs, no dusk daggers, no great swords of sharpness, nothing like that, right? No mass water elemental spam, no air elemental spam, no thunder strike, nothing to try to like deal with any of that type of things. And even if I had brought in my army, he probably would have won, right? Just because he had so many shotguns of enslaved minds, we would have been fighting ourselves half the damn time. But if I had brought in, if I brought in the army as it was right then, we probably would have got creamed. But if I brought in the army in another couple turns, brought in some aircasters, brought in some gems, etc., and started to put up my own battlefield buffs, like putting up anti-magic, putting up like fog warriors, putting up a bunch of the things that I just got in, Alteration 8. I think, I don't know, we might have still lost, right? Again, he's got a lot of mages here. That's the thing that we don't have is a massive mage core. But it just really felt like the only thing that Ermor was prepared to best here was a low MR super combatant or an unsupported army. And it just cost them a lot. And this is not me being critical of them, to be clear. I am not an expert player. This is me trying to point out for anybody watching, though I think most of the people who watch me are actually way better players than I am. So thanks everybody for your suggestions, right? But like in this particular case, if someone is watching that is newer or doesn't think that they have a good handle on what to do here, I can tell you right here and now, the one thing that he could have done easily in his grasp, guaranteed almost in his grasp, is just have like, he's got how many Augur Elders back here? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's if any haven't like left. Here's a 7th. Right? If he had 3 of them on, cast whatever spells you want, and then if he had them on advance and cast spells, this battle would be over, right? Because they would have done all of the scripting that they needed to do, and then they would have walked forward, right? They would have gotten in range, and they would have gone, oh shit, that's a big target with a lot of HP. Drain life, drain life, drain life. He's dead. And that would be over. This whole thing would be over. Also of note, throwing this out here, this is something that you actually should be careful of when you've got all of these Augur Elders and all of these Augurs. Don't only have Augurs be your communion or communion slaves, right? So if the only thing you have I guess there are a couple, but okay. So the point that I'm trying to make is there are a couple Augurs that are masters, but you want some Augur Elders if you have enough of them to also be slaves, or you want other individuals to be slaves, because the Augurs are just fire astral. Most of the Augur Elders have death and air mixed in as well. If they are going and casting death spells or air spells, then they're going to fatigue out the non-death, non-air communion really fast. Because if you cast a spell as a master that a slave does not have, that slave takes more fatigue. Right? So you actually, in a lot of these types of situations, if you can afford it, you want a couple of elders to actually be slaves as well. That way they can spread the load of the death casting, the air casting, etc. Anyways, I've talked at length about this. I've talked so long about this. This is a big battle, though. Like, this is a really big battle. This is maybe not Ermor's power, like the entirety of their power is not broken, but killing all of this is one of those situations, and killing all of this for almost nothing. We basically lost 1 Dione because we threw 1 Dione in a few turns ago, Hizashi, to see what we were dealing with and to see if we could just beat it out and out. And that's what it cost us. Cost us a few turns and that Dione. So this is probably not the entirety of Ermor's power, obviously. We know they have those ether lords running around, right? And they've got a little doom stack in their capital, but this is going to be a big portion of it. This is a lot to lose in a single fight. So, I have rambled on for eternity. I apologize to anyone who's actually watching this. I hope you were watching me on, like, ×2 or something. Holy shit. Battles, we got one more battle, and that is a little indie attack in Hinwood. So in Hinwood, we got attacked by a whole bunch of fucking Mandragoras and mannequins. Mandragora! Let's see if our little PD can actually do anything against it. This is a lot of mannequins and Mandragoras. And that's a solid no. Solid no. Okay, so we lose in Hinwood. That is unfortunate. Battles for this turn. Versus Ermor, we have 3 wins and 1 loss. Versus Indies, we have 0 wins and 1 loss. So, there we go. This is that was an entirely too long of a time of me gushing about a single battle and then waxing poetic about nonsense. So I apologize. We've got some events. Tapanete has a rebirth event, whatever. Gint has a gold event, plus 285 from tax collection. Hinwood got attacked by some Mandragoras, some ancient power, and we lost a shit ton of population. That hurts. And then Brightwoods get some fire gems. So, events this turn, gold plus 285 and fire plus 3. Got that. It's not bad. And let's actually jump into the game. Lot of stuff going on. By the way, I've been doing this thing where I kind of like, I would do the opening messages. The last couple turns I did the opening messages, and then I immediately did like recruitment and rituals and forging and stuff like that, and then I did the talking about what we're actually doing afterwards. I'm not sure I like that. I think I might switch back to how I previously did it, so we're kind of gonna just go with it for now. The home front is just mostly a lot of moving Kooni around, etc., etc. You know that whole shebang. We are attacking back in Hinwood with Hirofumi. Basic kit, no big deal. Should be able to handle the Mandragoras without any issue. They can be dangerous to some thugs and super combatants, or some thugs, really, not super combatants, because they have a fatigue with their hit. They can fatigue you out, but they're not going to be able to do anything to Hirofumi. So, they're just not going to be able to damage him at all, so it's not going to be an issue. We are consolidating quite a few forces here in Silver Walls. Now that we have taken the place, we're sending in a sorceress. We are sending in a troll king. The troll king we just summoned. We're sending in some reinforcements. Manabu, right? So we've got Akeno coming in. We've got a lot of stuff going, but we are not going to be. Everything else is just moving stuff around, no big deal. We're not going to be resting. We are immediately striking out. So, from Silver Wall, we are moving into Donnermark. And we do know Relay has had some stuff here for a while, from when they, when they got attacked and beaten by Ermor, and then we bumped them in Silver Wall. Conversations have not been, we haven't had a lot of talking with Relay. I think the situation with Relay has just been like, okay, fine, fuck it, whatever. Right? I think Relay has kind of just been like, well, I'm not doing much. And for clarity, I think Relay is also a sub. So I think Relay's player at this point has just been like, well, I tried to do some stuff against Ermor, it didn't work out. I'm just gonna kind of autopilot the nation for a while, and maybe I can do something later, right? Like, I do believe they are still doing things, but they're not, it doesn't feel like they're super invested anymore, which is perfectly fair. This is not their game, necessarily. I feel like, I mean, I'm a sub for this game as well, but I feel I've been playing this game for so long at this point that it definitely feels like my game. So, we're striking out into Donnermark with a full army. The plan is to move slightly northward, right into this area, maybe catch out the Ether Warriors if at all possible, but either way we want to be able to potentially threaten Jan Keep or to potentially threaten Ermor. So that is the overall plan. We're going to continue raiding. We're going to hit, we're going to sneak into Belmar this turn. We're going to get back on Jan Keep to try to stop anything there, and we're going to hit Pannonia with a group of Dione, etc., etc. This, I think, is actually a really bad move because this is kind of a weak commitment. And if I were to go back, I would not do this in this manner. I think our initial idea, the time we tried to trap these Ether Warriors several turns ago in a Rigor Mortis trap, I think that idea actually could work against them. I'm not positive, right? But this particular attack is so incredibly low commitment. I think if we actually do catch any of these Ether Warriors, we're probably going to lose several Dione for it, if not the whole fucking group. So I think this is a really bad move. But hindsight is 2020. I can't fucking do anything about it right now. So, is what it is. Okay. That is the majority of our movements. Simple stuff. We have one in Silver Wall. We're not going to rest on our laurels. We're going to try to strike out towards Ermor or Jankeep ASAP. And we want to finish this war against Ermor because the war against Helheim has turned really bad, right? Ubar and Lunka are now soundly defeating Helheim, and Helheim has basically reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I along the lines of like, I get what you're doing, right, with the whole Ermor thing, sure, but I'm basically dead now. If you can't jump in now, I will probably not just die." Meaning that it's going to be an Ubar Lanka Yomi game. And I want to change that, but I don't know if we effectively can. So that is kind of the state of world events. Our goal here right now is still to kind of snuff out Ermor, get rid of Arcane Nexus, get rid of Stellar Focus, put up End of Culture, and maybe something else. We've got a little bit of stuff going on, so let's just cover this. This has been a very long episode. I apologize to everyone. Buildings. We have a temple that is going down immediately in Silverwall. So, boom, +1 temple. Then we have a little bit of recruitment. We have produced a sorceress in Moliton, so we're immediately doing +1 sorceress there, and we are doing a new lizard shaman in Cormark. So we've got that going on. And then we have a bunch of rituals, as we normally do, right? We've got 1 augury, 2 aspects, 2 voice of Apsu, 1 gnome lore, 3 arcane probing, 1 dark knowledge, 1 haruspex, 9 corpse construction, 1 Sea King's Court, and 3 manifestations. So let's talk about this. Most of all that site search nonsense is, you know me, just being OCD. The Sea King's Court, the manifestations are continuous. Those are going to happen whenever we have a target. The Sea King's Court is kind of like the other thing there. And this is something that I probably need to be really careful with. This is dangerous. We are already at this point to where we don't have that much income. 1,000 per turn, and really it's not actually 1,000 per turn because of the amount of unrest that we have to deal with. It looks like 1,000 per turn. It's normally closer to around like 700 or 800 per turn. So what we're basically trying to do is we're trying to make sure we always have enough for a Dione, right? Which I think that actually probably should have been a Dione this turn. I might have mistyped my notes, but we'll go with it. No big deal. We're trying to basically make sure we always have enough for a Dione every other turn, and then whatever miscellaneous buildings that we need. But relying on things like trolls too much is dangerous because these things get fucking expensive really quick. The bigger versions are quite expensive, and the trolls themselves, Sea Kings or Troll Kings, are actually very expensive. They're good units, don't get me wrong, but they are very expensive. So you get into this situation where, like, they seem deceptively enticing, but if you're not careful, you will swamp your fucking economy. So we're going to do one more, I think. And hopefully what we'll have with that is the ability to jump into little ponds like Velvet Ocean or Underhome or Whirling Sea and go from there. So we'll see how that goes. So What else we got? We have some forging this turn. We have one Lightless Lantern, one Bloodthorn, one Starshine Skullcap, one Armor of the Knights, and two Boots of the Messenger. So not a lot of forging this turn, but some more unique stuff. The Starshine Skullcap and Bloodthorn probably being the most unique of those particular situations. So we're doing a Bloodthorn over here on Kurofumi and Starshine Skullcap over here on Kathleen. So the Starshine Skullcap is just trying to kind of like give ourselves more boosters to play with. We're getting to that point to where we might be able to start doing things like teleport plays. So I want to have access to that tech or to the items required for it ahead of time so that we're not reactionary, we're proactive. Okay? And then the Bloodthorn is kind of just covering my bases here. So the Bloodthorn, we have a Armor of Souls, right? The Bloodthorn allows us to get up to Blood 5. Blood 5 does actually get us access to a fair number of things. I think specifically what I was thinking of was going for something like 3 red seconds. So I don't know that we're actually going to do this, mind you, right? But if when we finish Alteration 9, if we grab Blood 8, being able to bounce between... I kind of, like, you know, I discovered this in my Tetragrammaton game versus Lunka, actually. Being able to utilize things like 3 red seconds, or what's the Earth version? I don't remember what it is. Is it Wizard's Tower? Yeah, it's Wizard's Tower, right? Which is another thing that we can do because we have so much Earth income, right? That's like a turn and a quarter for us, right? Whatever. Being able to utilize things like Wizard's Tower and 3 red seconds to just drop fortifications, good fortifications, mind you, because we're Yomi and we have shit fortifications, right? We have absolute dog shit fortifications. So being able to use 3 red seconds and Wizard's Tower, for example, to drop good fortifications like that across our empire is a very useful tactic. So I think that's one of the things that we're kind of aiming towards, but we don't have the inherent blood access to do that. We don't have high enough blood on any of our mages or anything like that. We don't even have blood mages. So the only way we're going to be able to do that is to take things like Armor of the Souls and a Bloodthorn on a Vampire Lord and go from there. So I think, again, mostly what we're doing is we're just trying to cover our bases so that we can be proactive in things that we want to do rather than reactive in the things that we want to do. So, and now I have spoken at you for nearly a fucking hour, and that's going to be it. This was a big turn for us. There was a reason why I spent 20 minutes on that battle. It is a big deal. I do think that Ermor is not going to have a lot to challenge us with after that. Not comparatively. Though I will say, again, in hindsight, I am making a lot of low commitment attacks. I'm kind of, and it wasn't my intention or anything like that, it's just I feel like I'm a better player now than I was when I was playing at this particular point in time. Again, hindsight being 2020. A lot of these things are very low commitment attacks. Like, for instance, sitting on Silver Wall for as long as I did, like, if that was against an experienced player, that experienced player would have made me pay for doing that. I lucked out in the fact that Ermor was I believe, a less experienced player, and they have taken less initiative against me. If they do start taking some initiative against me, right, I will probably have some. I'll probably come away with a bloody nose. But I think the victory in Silverwall makes it to where I don't think Ermor can just brute force beat me now. I think all they can do is bloody my nose. But we'll see how that actually turns out in the next couple of turns. So, anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.